Well, hello and hello, hello, Meditations on Mastery audience, or whatever I call this podcast. I, I really, first of all, I owe you all apology. I know it's been a week or two since we've done anything. It has just got crazy busy for me around here in my life and in the dojo and in the mission. It's all great stuff, and there is no excuse. I have just fallen behind, but I'm super excited to be catching up today with a person that's an authority on the subject and can really kind of help me and others that may fall behind because there's just too much to do. And who I'm talking about is my guest today. She is a retired master, command master sergeant. How do you call it in the Air Force, Ruth?
Command Chief Master Sergeant.
Command Chief Master Sergeant. I was an Army guy, for those of you that know the bio, so I keep messing up the title. But the point of the story, for those of you, I mean, you guys wouldn't have recognized either title anyway, most of you. The point of the story is that she worked her way to the very highest enlisted position in the Air Force, the very top leadership position before she retired. And in addition to that accomplishment, you know, she is a KMMA black belt. She's a mother of KMMA black belts. She homeschools her kids. I mean, she has a really busy life. And on top of all of that, she's my executive assistant. And so therefore, helps me deconflict my crazy life and really helps behind the scenes with a lot of the things that get done at KMMA. And she does that in spite of all the rest of the busyness. So I did kind of give her a little heads up that I was going to ask something about that. Like, how do you do it all? Because I try to make this a helpful podcast for the audience. And we talk on several leadership subjects. But I think that certainly one of the problems that most people today deal with is busyness. Like there's just so much to do. How do you get it all done? So Miss Ruth, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for all that you do for KMMA. And would you like to start by speaking a little bit to that? And if you want to tie that a little bit into finishing up your own introduction, finishing up how you came to KMMA, whatever, that's great. But specifically, maybe just talk a little bit, and I'm sure the theme will recur throughout the thing, but how do you get it all done? I'm going to put the question that way. How do you get it all done?
Okay, well, first of all, I don't get it all done. I mean, because nobody could. We can't do everything that we want to do. We can't do everything that we need to do. We can't do everything that other people want and need us to do, right? But what we can do is prioritize. And that's really the secret, if that's what you want to call it, is prioritization. You have to know before that, you have to know what your priorities are. And in my case, you know, like you said, I am retired, you know, chief from the Air Force. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a homeschool teacher. And the homeschool led me to you, as you know, and I'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I have to prioritize all these things that are going on in the household. You know, it's just like being kind of like the CEO of the household, because you have to take a look at everybody's schedule. You have to make sure that everybody's doing what they need to be doing. Everybody gets fed, everybody goes to bed on time, everybody gets educated. And then in addition to that, you got to throw in there some balance, because people are not going to want to just do all day long. So part of that balance, that's where KMMA comes in, because it's an expression of release, as well as being the greatest self-defense, you know, in the world. And, you know I'm biased, but you've got the best school that I know of, and you teach the best principles. And so in order to get it all done, or what needs to be done, you have to be able to say, okay, these are the 100 things that I have going. Which of these am I going to do today, and which ones are just going to have to wait? In a nutshell.
That's great. That's great. So the time management, some of the things that jumped out is just priority, like what are you going to say yes to and what are you going to say no to, and prioritizing what you got to do. And then you kind of also transition a little bit into here, right? Like into Krav martial arts, and it sounds like it's one of the priorities in your life for you and your family. And for you,
Definitely.
you've alluded to the stress release and the kind of just the joy that comes from it, and that it's a realistic self-defense for
Mhm.
you and your family, and maybe speaking specifically to your kids a little bit. What are the biggest benefits that you appreciate, that you draw from training here?
Um, well, just like you say all the time, learning is a lifetime journey, right? So learning something, specifically self-defense, is the number one thing. And that's one of the reasons I came to Krav Maga specifically, and not like Taekwondo. I didn't choose Taekwondo or any of the other ones, because I figured you're going to learn self-defense, and that's a very good skill to have. But in addition to that, you not only get to learn it the way that you do it, you teach it. And so by teaching it, you learn it a little bit, like you're helping each other out. And then, of course, there's that physical release that you get when you go in there. I mean, it's a great workout. I mean, an hour, it is just an amazing workout. And I've never been one of those people that don't work out, but my first training there, I was like out of breath for like 2 hours, because it was so, I mean, I'd watched it, but when I did it, it was like really intense. So physical activity is big. And then also releasing anxiety. I mean, that anxiety is a big part of our society today. I think it's always been there, but it's just intensified now. But it releases a huge amount of anxiety, um, doing the physical workout, and doing the, how to, knowing that you can do things to prevent bad things that could happen to you.
That's great. And what about for the kids? Is there anything else with the kids besides that, or?
The kids, they have learned, and it's part of growing up, having to learn focus. I mean, some people are just born with focus, I guess, but most people aren't. So
Yeah.
focus is a big part of it, and being able to sit and listen to what's being taught, being able to take your eyes off something shiny here and listen for a while. Focus is huge. Discipline, of course, physical discipline and mental discipline, and all of the things that you talk about. Like I said before, like the good things are releasing their anxiety, but it's because they're sitting in there and you're not really like talking at their level. Like that's something that my husband does too. Like he doesn't talk to them as children, he talks to them at a level that they need to aspire to learn from.
Love it. Love
And
it.
if they don't understand, they're able to say, hey, I don't get that part, can you explain it to me? So
Thank you. That's great. That the principle you kind of touched upon there, and is one of my favorite, is that we should speak to people not as they are, but as they could be, as they should be, and that's true of all people, right? And which leads me to a next question that I ask on most podcasts: of the leadership lessons that you have acquired here in your last 3-4 years that you've been with us, if you had to take one that you think is most meaningful, relevant to your busy life, and your family, and things outside of the dojo, what would it be?
um, I would have to like most likely say the law of the process. Excellence happens daily, but not in a day. And that's something that I mean, it's a catchy thing to say, but it resonates with me every day, because you push yourself to be the best that you can. But then if you don't reach, if you have a goal and you don't reach it, you can't like beat yourself up, because then you're just going to get discouraged and walk away. You just have to remember, keep doing the best that you can at that moment. And eventually you're going to reach the next step of your goal, knowing that goal isn't a destination, right? It's just the process to get where you're going.
Yeah, I thank you on two notes for that. One, because I agree that's one of the greatest lessons, and then I got that. We got that to credit John Maxwell, originally from the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, but it's been a part of our Black Belt Leadership Development course here so long that it's just came in
Mhm.
most.
Yeah.
But thank you for bringing it up, and thank you for reminding me of it so often. As for the audience, you guys don't know that I'm a pretty driven individual, or maybe you know that part, but you don't know that sometimes Ruth helps calm me down and be like, "Hey, that's okay. You just stay focused. Da, da, da. Remember what you teach. We're going to make it. And because I can be pretty goal oriented and driven, and sometimes you help me remember the law of the process when I'm frustrated with how quickly something is going. So thank you for that as well.
Sure.
Getting back a little bit, because it's a little bit outside of my normal realm of questions, but I think it's so useful. Do you have any other time management tips or project management tips or task management tips or guidance? Because like I said, I think it's something that you're very good at, that your life has perhaps, your professional life up to this point prepared you to be better juggling it all than us. So besides what you already said, are there any other tools that one could apply effectively that you would recommend?
Yes, I my one go-to is called a beautiful thing called the checklist. Um, sometimes you're running around and you have, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that. But take all that stuff, put it on a list, check it off. Like you're going to remember all the things that you need to do. B, it's like such an immense feeling of relief when you get to check it off. And then C, you get to do what you've accomplished. So when you tell yourself, I haven't done anything, then you can look and be like, oh, I did all this stuff. Well, look at that. Or when somebody asks you where this is or whatever, you can do it. I mean, I know it kind of sounds mundane and it's not like grandiose, but a checklist of anything like helps me manage this household. It helps me manage. Well, you've seen, I've done like a zillion checklists for KMA in a couple of years, and it helps me to have things on track and to be able to tell you, hey, when you ask me, where's this going? I just go to my checklist. I'm like, oh, here's where it is and so forth. I mean, that's what I got. I mean, that's what I tell that to everybody.
I think that's great advice, and I think we need to produce even more checklists for the KMAs. We'll work on that together. And then while I know you mean the specific checklist for specific things, I will also say that Todoist that you and I are working in together has helped me a lot. The daily to-do list, for all the same reasons that you said. So would there be, if you had to give some advice to, I'm going to ask for three different versions, but so first let's do the person that's not even a student yet. They just are listening to this and they've been thinking about it. They're considering maybe coming in and trying it out. What advice would you have for them?
Just go. Like, why not? I mean, it is such an amazing thing. It's like a win-win situation. You get up, you go to a free lesson, and bam, you're going to love it. We know you're going to love it. But even if you don't love it, I mean, what do you have to lose? Nothing.
Great. How about to the student that is already? I wrote an email and sent it out. Actually, might not have gone out yet. It might be for tomorrow. I'm not sure. Today or tomorrow was one of the emails and it was about what can happen in the summer, right? Because now there's all these other distractions and people get a little more, I hate to use the term lazy, but lazy, right? Like you fall out of schedule, you fall out of routine, and all of a sudden there's the beach and there's vacations and there's different distractions. So you're a black belt now. You're what we call probationary black belt. You're about to be, you're testing in September for your black belt certified first degree. You have a junior black belt who's also testing for his certified. And you have about to be probationary black belt in your daughter. And so all of you already have this relative success where you've been through many summers, right? Yes. And we're going to kind of use almost the summer as an analogy. I mean, it's both true because it's summer now, and it's kind of an analogy for whatever's going to derail us from our goal of becoming a black belt. What advice do you give to the Q ranks, the white, yellow, orange, purple, blue, the lower ranks, to stay the course?
So everybody needs rest. You need rest from everything, even the good stuff like KMA. And I think that's one of the reasons you've told me we only have to do 2 classes per week, because you don't want to burn out. You don't want to be there every single day. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm tired of this. 2 to 3 times a week is perfect. Yes, rest, go to the beach and everything, but just don't forget your training, because I feel even with my kids, when they don't want to go, even me, sometimes I'm like, I'm just too tired. I don't want to go. I mean, you hear this over and over again from many different people as you get yourself out there, you get in the car, and then you go and you come back and you're like, I'm so glad that I went to training. And it doesn't take that long. I mean, that's 2 hours out of your week. And you get so much more for the experience. You get to be more, you're more ready really to face the rest that you have to face, being at the beach and laying at the beach or at the pool or whatever it is you're going to be doing. So don't stop. That's the advice.
That's great. That's great. What else? Another, what else would you like to talk about that I haven't asked you a specific question about with our time left here together today?
Gosh, that is a giant question.
I
You know
know.
how I am with giant questions. Um, just maybe to talk about like, as you said, Gino, my son, and then my daughter with the black belt certifications, not certifications, with them testing for black belt and becoming a black belt. It may get hard about the reddish ranks because they kind of feel like not in a unhumble way, like I got this kind of thing, but they're like, well, we already done that. We've done those series so many times. We already know that. But at that time, I think it's important to talk to them and be like, yes, you may have them down, but you could always make it better. Just like you guys say, all the sensei, and you can always make it better. Figure out a way to make it better, or figure out a way to help somebody else make it better. And I think that has helped the three of us, and even my husband too, kind of get over the hump of we already got this covered. We've heard it 1,000 times. What's going to happen? Or even around the house, like we just go around, drawing a knife on each other, gun, choking, all that stuff, which is fun, kind of.
Yeah,
But I mean, I just want to encourage everybody out there, if they're in the category of, I'm a red belt, I know it, I got it, why do I have to do this again? It's because it makes you better, and it's never going to be a waste of time or a wasted effort. You just got to put a little extra effort in there when you don't feel like it or you think you know it all. And on the flip side, if you're feeling like, I'm not getting this, because there were times where I'm like, I'm just not getting this routine, so I'm just like gonna get discouraged about it. Don't do that. Like, tell your sensei, like, you know what, I should know this, but I don't know it as well as I should. So make it known to them, and they will help you. And without any, they're not going to shame you. They're not going to tell you should know it by now. They're going to help you. And everybody at KMMA is there to help you get better at whatever you do. Krav for sure, leadership for sure, but whatever you do.
That's brilliant. That is excellent advice. And we like to take it out of the dojo and into the world. So it's excellent advice, especially for students in the dojo, because you're right. The two biggest, at the black belt test, when I talk to people about the dragons they had to slay on the way to accomplishing their thing, more times than not, one of them was either the boredom or thinking that they were at this point where they had it, and the repetition, right, is what it really is. It's like, oh God, we've been doing this stuff or the other side where it's difficult and getting more challenging, and you're at a level. Here's what really happens, I think, is that students are at a level where they don't feel like they should be having difficulty, and so therefore they don't want to communicate openly like you just and they kind of just put it inside, and they don't admit that they're having difficulty. So it's definitely great advice for training in the martial arts. My piece about taking it out of the dojo and into the world is I just want to tell everyone what Miss Ruth has just given is great advice for us all in anything, right? Like, rather we get to the point where we think that we got it, because the principle here is don't do it until you can do it right. Do it until you can't do it wrong. Right? That's that piece. And then the other piece is just as common, right? Like, especially, I hate to say it, Miss Ruth, and I know that you've seen it, is that and we have to be careful when we talk, because like here we have so many great youth that are so above average, but youth in society in general today, sometimes you see a willingness to want to give up right away when things aren't easy, and a corresponding desire to not admit to somebody that they're having the difficulty and get the help. So I think that your advice is priceless for anybody listening in that category. And I shouldn't have even said young people, because there's probably people of all ages, that forget that number one, we do our most growth when we're going through the difficult times. Those are the times to learn and grow and prepare for the next season. And number two, that somebody somewhere always has the fruit on the tree, has had the experience that can give us the advice to get us through the thing. Right.
True.
So I think you've hit such, I hope that together we extrapolated that in such a way that it was useful to the listener, but because it definitely needs to be applied to the quest for black belt leadership. And then like all of our black belt leadership program, it relates to everything else in life, I think. Businesses, relationships. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. And I think that we here at Krav Maga Martial Arts, we provide a safe environment for that. I mean, some people may not have a safe environment to voice those concerns, but we provide a safe environment. And I think that makes a huge difference out there.
Thank you. Well, that's fantastic, Ms. Reeve. Thank you so much. This is, and by the way, I'll make a transparent confession. I think I told you before we even put the camera on and started recording, but I'll say it to the listening public. I've been going since early this morning and had one of those days where I just felt like, wow, there's just more to do than I possibly like. So coming to this podcast was like you getting to the gym, right? Like I was like I almost was like, I wonder if I should just postpone it again. But I was like, no, absolutely not. I have to meet Miss Ruth, made a commitment, dress up, show up. And now I'm so happy that I did because this has been an awesome, awesome interview. And I think it's going to be a great education, edification, and maybe even a little entertainment for our audience. So
Great. Well, thank you for inviting me to be part of your podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. And then I'll see you in a few more hours for our next evolution of work together at Krav Maga Martial Arts here tonight.
Will do. We'll see you later, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right, everyone. And I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, which is kind of do a little wrap up because I usually just cut it off. And I noticed that the people that I listen to on the podcast talk a little bit at the end after they have their guests. So I'm going to just say thank you for listening. Give you some great news that the book is now on Amazon and is coming out. And I am going to be getting copies to everybody that has already pre-ordered books and was part of the original push. Plus, of course, my black belt leadership students at Krav Maga Martial Arts. And finally, if you've heard some stuff and you haven't started with us yet and you want to take action, remember, just go to tampakravmaga.com and you can sign up for your 2-week free trial. And it's a great place to start. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.